Okay, so good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining this FDEA Market Insights webinar for China. We do have lots of new faces on the call this morning, so I just wanted to give you a very brief introduction to the FDEA, just for those of you that don't know too much about us. So just to take you through a couple of slides, I won't keep you too long before we get into the China part of the presentation. FDEA is a not-for-profit trade association who works supporting UK food and drink exporters. Our membership is made up of around 200 companies, some seasoned exporters, some who are new to export. Our community's also got export service provider members who offer expertise in the practical side of exporting, such as labelling, certification, that kind of thing. And we also work with international in-market commercial partners around the world, of which the China-Britain Business Council is one of them. And today we're joined by CBBC, who's our in-market partner for China. And delighted to have Ran Gua on the call, who'll be presenting later on the market insights part of the presentation. Hopefully all of you have received some kind of mailing regarding the Meet the Buyer that CBBC and FDEA are currently organising, which is taking place in May. We'll talk about this a bit later on in the webinar, and I know that some of you have already registered for this. We're also absolutely delighted to be joined by two Chinese distributors this morning. So we have someone from Sweet Trip and Maggie from JC Foods in Shanghai, and you'll also be hearing from them later on in the presentation. And just a bit of housekeeping, so there will be time for questions at the end of the webinar. If you do have any questions for the distributors, for Ran, please just pop them in the chat box and we will come back to them at the end of the presentation. So without further ado, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to hand over to Ran.
Thank you, Mel. Let me just share I have a presentation, and then I'll host a roundtable with Maggie and Anlei from Sweet Trip and JC, two of the importers based in Shanghai. Let me share my screen first. So this is my presentation for today. I'm going to just give you a quick update on the food and drink market in China after COVID. So briefly, just in short, China is the food and drink market in China is a market that's recovering from COVID. As you can see from the data on the right side, China in last year is still UK's 7th largest food and drink export destination. I think this is the only one outside of Europe and the US. So in 2023, the economy saw a moderate and steady recovery. The GDP expanded by 5.2%. And 83% of this growth was attributed by increasing consumption. So consumption is recovering, and disposable income also increased by 60%. Inflation was modest. So I'm not going to go into details of these data. I think we will share these slides with you. But what I'm trying to say here is that the market is still very important. It's worth a lot of attention and consideration. Top 5 exports from the UK to the global market and to China as well last year were whiskey, milk and cream, chocolate, cheese, and salmon. So there's a lot of potential and opportunities for companies in these sectors. There we go. So if we take a deep dive into the subsectors in the food and drink industry, we can see whiskey is absolutely leading the UK's export in the drink sector to China, especially single malt whiskey. And we have here a diagram that shows the value of whiskey imported into China in $1 million. And we can see that the growth has been quite steady. But however, the demand for whiskey is still strong for certain demographic groups, including, for example, males and the elder generation, which means I think there's still more potential for whiskey to be sold to the other demographic groups, including women and younger generation. And health food, contributed to the rise in consumers' health awareness. Health food has seen a steady growth as well in China. Imported supplements, food that have special health claims have been very popular in both offline retail and e-commerce. The rising demand for healthy food is having a positive effect on the demand for organic produce as well. But we'll come into this later because China has its own organic certification system and certification program, which can be quite difficult to obtain. And seafood. So we see a growing demand for quality imported seafood, especially after last year, after Japan decided to dump some of the nuclear wastewater into the ocean. Demand for quality seafood from Europe and other countries have grown even more. And good news is that towards the beginning of this year, live crab from the UK has gained market access again. But I don't think we have a lot of seafood exporters, so I will keep this part brief. But in general, seafood and quality seafood, including brown lobster, brown crab, lobsters, salmon, are all very popular in China market. Chocolate. I know we have some confectionery exporters and consolidators. So chocolates and snacks have always been very popular in the eyes of Chinese importers. Later, we can have Sweet Trip and JC share more of their views about this market. But in general, the trend in confectionaries or chocolate is going towards low calorie and low sugar. And dark chocolate is viewed as a healthier alternative to milk chocolate. This is also part of the trend for health awareness, health consciousness among the younger generation in China. So some of the key trends in the food and drink sector in China. Number one trend is low fat, low sugar, and low calories, or the 3-0 products, meaning 0 fat, 0 calorie, 0 sugar, have been popular across the sector. In both the food and drink sectors, we see low calorie or zero calorie sparkling water, confectionaries, snacks, and everything. So consumers are going healthy. That pushes industry to transform into more healthier products. So that's definitely a good sign for UK food and drink exporters, because I know a lot of the brands and products are having the unique selling points are being healthy and low calorie, low sugar. And if you have ever been to China before COVID, and if you ever visit the market again, you will see there's a growing number of bistros, bars, cafes, coffee shops everywhere in first-tier cities in China, especially in Beijing and Shanghai. Definitely, you will see a lot more coffee shops and cafes. Actually, Shanghai has world's largest number of cafes. I think it says here that the data is over 8,500 coffee shops in 2023. So young generations in China are having this new habit to go to bistros and coffee shops and pubs after their busy day of work. The trend is more likely to appeal to white-collar workers and Chinese millennials or Gen Zs, which is also the target audience for a lot of the UK food and drink brands. And in China, we see every day a lot of brand collaborations taking place between fashion brands and food and drink brands, or brands that are remotely connected. Here we have some examples of the recent collaboration cases. For example, Rio and Hello Kitty. Rio is a Chinese ready-to-drink RTD brand, and Haiti and Fendi that has caused a lot of debate and discussions in social medias in China. Hollyland and Barbie. Hollyland is a Chinese bakery brand. So to appeal to the younger generation and to create a fuzz in social media, brands are pushed to work with other brands to create collaborations and co-branded products. So very briefly on the virtual Meet the Buyer, I think Mel is going to introduce more the mechanism and the format of it. Basically, it's going to be a virtual session with the buyers that are interested in your products and brands. We will collect your collaterals and share the collaterals with the buyers in advance. So these are warmed meetings and warmed buyers. Each meeting will be around 30 minutes, and CBBC team and FDEA team will be there to help you with coordination, translation if needed. And this session today is very much to prepare you for the matchmaking. So I'm just going to briefly introduce you the 7 buyers we have for the matchmaking session. We have list them into 3 different categories: leisure food comprehensive, which means they look at both food and drink products, and alcoholic drinks distributors. Leisure food. So JC, we're joined today by JC's assistant manager, Maggie, who will be one of the panelists in the later roundtable session. JC Food is based in Shanghai. They were established in 2010, and then they have also a presence in Hong Kong. So JC is an importer of quality international snacks. They work with an extensive network of both offline retailers and HoReCa channels, outlets, including hotels and restaurants. What they're interested in for this session, the matchmaking session we're having, is biscuits and crisps. So if you happen to be in these categories, JC will be the potential buyer that you want to speak with. So in the comprehensive section, we have Shanghai Cannon Food. They are also the distributor of Tynant, which is a UK mineral water brand. Cannon is also based in Shanghai. They were established in 2011. They work with supermarkets and also five-star hotels and restaurants. So for this matchmaking, they're interested in puffed snacks, non-alcoholic drinks, and consolidators. The next one is Shanghai Wangli Food. They are also based in Shanghai. As you can see, the pattern is Shanghai is basically the hub for everything. So a lot of, I think at least 80% of the distributors and importers we work with are based in Shanghai. So Shanghai Wangli Food mainly sells wine and whiskey, sake at the moment, but then they want to expand into the food categories. So that's why they join this matchmaking to look for alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks brands and snacks brands. And now we have a importer based in Shenzhen 5 Places. Is an importer of consumer goods located in Shenzhen, which is next to Hong Kong in the Greater Bay Area in Guangdong Province. They carry products in soft drinks, milk and soy milk, confectionery and snacks, as well as alcoholic drinks. And they work with premium supermarkets and e-commerce channels. So for today, they're looking for milk, healthy drinks, biscuits, and confectionery. And then we have another one based in Shenzhen Fair Trade. They are also based in the Greater Bay Area, founded in 2003. And Fair Trade is a food and drink importer. They work with also supermarkets, community purchase, meaning purchase of large companies in China, and as well as e-commerce platforms. And they are looking for puffed snacks, protein, energy bar, and cereal, and oats and sauces, canned food, convenient and instant foods. Alcoholic drinks. We have a company from the north area of China, Dalian, which is not very far from Korea and Japan. Dalian Xinshidai Trade. At the moment they are mainly an importer of sake and wine and plum wine, but then they also would like to expand their product portfolio to include some alcoholic drinks from the UK. So if you are a gin distiller or a whiskey exporter, this is a buyer that you can speak with. Next one, Beijing Just Business. This is a quite well-established alcoholic drink importer based in Beijing. They import a wide range of alcoholic drinks, including beers, whiskey, gin. They work with supermarket and convenience stores, e-commerce platforms, as well as on-trade distribution channels. They are open to work with high quality and price competitive beer and single malt. I think we're missing a single malt whiskey brands. Some of the useful tips when dealing with Chinese importers or when dealing with China in general. Some of the do's and don'ts. I think some of these are pretty common sense, but then just put them here in just in case. Be flexible in your approach, of course. Do your research, prepare the questions you want to ask the distributors, prepare your collateral, or take time to find a good partner. And do not view China as a single market, because it can be, as everybody knows, is quite sizable market. So sometimes the distributor based in Shanghai will be especially capable in Shanghai, but not so much in the north or in the south. And this is the case with the distributors in the north and south as well. So distributors can be quite limited to their region or to their channel. Getting the basics right, relationships first. I think this is the case everywhere, but then especially so in China, where relationship or 关系 or saving face can be very very important. Communication, use simple English, yeah, and if you can speak a few words of Chinese, that's a very big plus. Join the dinner, join the lunch invitation, because a lot of times businesses would like to will be done during lunch or dinner. This is a very typical scenario to discuss business. Bring some gifts. And next, I would like to introduce WeChat to you. If you're not on WeChat, this is something that's very important when coming to China for trade shows or to meet your buyer. Everyone will ask you, are you on WeChat? Can I add your WeChat? So do download WeChat and try to join WeChat if you're having a conversation with a Chinese distributor. But it can be very tricky to join WeChat if you are not in China, because it requires someone that's already on WeChat to kind of verify you. So if you're trying to get on WeChat and having problem, do speak to us, to CBBC, and we can find a way to help you. So what to prepare when you're having a meeting with a potential buyer? Prepare a brand introduction, collateral, product catalog. If you're a consolidator and has a wide range of products, a catalog can be quite useful. And prepare some unique selling points that can differentiate your brand from your competitors. Prepare a marketing strategy or give examples of your marketing strategies for other markets. And then awards and questions, I think, would be quite useful. Prepare a list of questions that you want to ask your distributors. What's your projection or sales projection for the brand for China? What distribution network you think will be suitable for my brand? What do you think will be the benchmark selling point or pricing strategy for us? And ask questions. If you can, send some samples. Again, this is a tricky area. Sending samples to China, we can discuss this in a later stage. And pricing. A lot of times Chinese buyers are happy with X Works or FOB. Sometimes they ask. And market entry strategy. I don't think we, as a brand owner, you need to have answers to everything. So just feel free to ask questions or to build your strategy with your potential partner. That's okay. Routes to market. So in general, there are two routes to enter the Chinese market to export to China. One is the traditional general trade, which means, you have a distributor that acts as your importer who will, place an order and deal with all the documentation. All you need to do is just to send them the products. And the other way to enter the market is through e-commerce. And e-commerce can be classified into domestic e-commerce and cross-border e-commerce. We will discuss this in a later slide. I think here, cross-border e-commerce, CEBC, is basically a way to sell to China directly without going through all the documentations, including a Chinese language labeling or Chinese registration. That's usually needed in general trade. But for cross-border e-commerce, there's a whitelist. So you need to make sure your products are on that whitelist to be exported to China. That's a quicker way usually to enter the market, but the volume-wise, it's not as huge as general trade. And then also, if you're exporting to China through cross-border e-commerce, that would mean that you're not able to enter offline retailers, supermarkets, convenience stores. It is a no. So cross-border e-commerce is still e-commerce. So it's limited to, the JD.com, the Alibaba.com. So it's an e-commerce platform. So before I conclude this presentation, just want to introduce to you some of the upcoming events on the UK side where we're hosting. So in June 13th, we're hosting a June Consumer Masterclass. And during this masterclass, we'll cover basically all the questions that you can think about and you have about exporting to China, including market access. Is there any, market access barriers? What documentations would you need? What registrations do you need? And we'll cover case studies, we'll cover marketing, digital marketing strategies, of course, and consumer trends as well. So I have included a link to the registration. So if you do receive the deck later, feel free to check out and register. And on the same day, in the afternoon, we're having a masterclass on IP, especially IP in the e-commerce domain, how to protect your IP. What do you need to be aware of? So do join this session as well if you're having e-commerce as a potential distribution channel in mind. And I know this is coming quite soon. So we're having a program for CL, one of the two most prominent food and drink trade shows in China. CL this year will be 28 to 30th in Shanghai. And we're having a 2-day program, including a briefing session, store visits, meet a buyer for this program. So if you're not able to come to China during CL, the next one is Food and Hospitality China, FHC, which is in November every year. We usually have a similar program for FHC as well. So again, do click the link and check out and register if you're interested. I think that is my session for now.
Great, thank you, Ran. I'm just going to take this opportunity just to go through a little bit of the detail of the Meet the Buyer session that we've talked about, and which Ran kindly introduced the 7 buyers which are going to be taking part in the Meet the Buyer. So I'm just share my screen once more. So our Meet the Buyer session is an online virtual session, and it's going to be taking place on the morning of the 16th of May. Hopefully, like I said, if you've joined this webinar, you will have seen some of the information already been sent round about the Meet the Buyer. And CBBC have organised for 7 distributors, which Ran has kind of gone through. Each of them will be taking meetings from the UK brands that apply. So the first stage is the registration stage. So we've got a comprehensive application form which you would fill out, and then that basically will get sent to each of the buyers, and they will review that in partnership with CBBC, check the products match their requirements, and if they would like to meet you, you will then be invited to progress to the next stage, which is step 2. So the Meet the Buyer meetings will be set on the 16th of May, and some companies may find that they have a number of buyers interested, so they may be offered more than one meeting. The cost is there per meeting, and for those companies which didn't receive any meetings, then you would be offered a meeting with CBBC to talk about your strategy for China. So we think it's a really, really good opportunity for UK companies to get their products in front of some of the leading Chinese distributors, especially ahead of FHC, which I know that Ram has also spoken about. FHC is one of the major trade shows in China, taking place in November this year. If you are looking to exhibit, then PSA organised the UK Pavilion stand, and I can share details with you regarding that, so you can find out costs, etc. But also it's really important to get out into the market once you've made these introductions with the buyers, introduce your products, so definitely one to consider either exhibiting or visiting. Yeah, so like I said, I will send out some more information about that after the webinar. But yes, I think, Ran, we wanted to do a Q&A with Sweet Trip and JC Foods. So please do put any questions into the chat box. Now's your chance to speak to the distributors and find out what they look for from UK brands.
Sure. Mel, should I carry on with the roundtable?
Yeah, that would be great. Thanks.
Yeah. Maggie, can you hear me?
Yes, can.
And Anlei, can you hear me as well? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much, Maggie and Anlei. Let me just briefly introduce you to everyone. So Anlei is the CEO of Sweet Trip, which is, as you can tell from the name, an importer of sweets, confectioneries, and snacks. We also have a presence in Europe. Is that Germany or the UK, Anlei?
Yeah.
Yeah, in Europe. And then JC Foods are based in Shanghai. Maggie is the assistant manager of JC Foods. They are also an importer of snacks. So both JC Foods and Sweet Trip have been in this business for at least over a decade. So they're quite seasoned importers in China, actually one of the earliest. So thank you both for joining our session today. I know both of you focus on importing, snacks and confectioneries from Europe, and Sweet Trip. I know you also work with Walker's confectionery, so you're not foreign with UK food and drink products. Very experienced. Both of you maintain an extensive offline distribution network. And as you have witnessed the growth of China's imported food and drink market, as well as the boom of e-commerce sector, I think I just have a few questions that I would like to discuss with both of you. Maybe let me come to Anlei first.
Yeah.
So we observed, the trend of, as I just discussed, the trend of younger Chinese consumers turning into low sugar and zero sugar snacks and confectioneries. Is that a trend you observe as well? How should brand adapt to the changing consumption habits in China?
Yes, you're right. And this year we also discuss with our suppliers from Europe, and offer some products and just catch this need of the young people in China, such as lower sugar or no sugar added, and vegan and organic and high fiber, something like gluten free, we also have such products this year and just fit the market. So especially for from the biscuits and chocolate and so reduce sugar, something like that. We also have that and for the chocolate and before, I think before the milk chocolate is Chinese people buy a lot, but this year is it's a higher cacao. For example, it's 100% cacao. It's a dark chocolate. Is a base seeding in China. It's nothing added. And such is, I think, it's a big change in the market.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, thank you, Anlei. And then my next question is to you, Maggie. You know, the snack sector has changed quite a bit after COVID.
Yeah.
Chinese brands and products from alternative markets, including Southeast Asia, we see have emerged and gained popularity in China. So as an importer focusing on brands from Europe, has your distribution or channel strategy changed? What is the unique selling points of snack brands from Europe or from the UK? What do you think?
Actually, I think it's the distributors or our consumers, how to say, we focus the people, they like the European food, the European products and the European brands. We don't think the people, they always, they used to, how to say, buy the products from Europe. They will not buy the similar products from China or the, how to say, other countries or from Asia. So we don't worry about that. We have our own such kind of consumers. Yeah. I think we're from the products from Europe, from UK is a leader. It's a leader of the market in China. I think I always think about that. So we don't worry about the products made in China.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not our challenge. I think it's not on the, how to say, one level. It's in the same level. It's different.
What do you think is the advantage or selling points of European products? As you said, it's a leader in, is it a quality or heritage? What do you think?
You're right. Quality and qualified, and also each, how to say, I think the new products and also from Europe. Each year, if we went to the exhibition in Europe, and each year we find something new, not in China. So I think the new is also from Europe.
Okay, as you mentioned that, you know, you go to Europe to join exhibitions and look for new products. So usually, what are your criteria? So when you are, you know, when you decide which brand to work with, what's your criteria? What quality do you see in a brand that's important to you?
Yeah, and first I think is qualified, and also the brand is history and background, and then more important, they have their own marketing plan and work with Sweet Trip or work with any other Chinese important distributors for long term. Several years, more than 5 years. If they only want to try once or short time, we'll not do that. Yeah. So nowadays is not the market. Or you want to try once or several times, and you will be successful. I think it's a long term, and there's so many famous brands in Europe, but in China, nowadays in China, there are nobody. So we did work with this brand's owner and with the suppliers in the market step by step to make the brand and make the products to be more and more famous in China, such as the Walker's non-such trophy. And they are in Europe more than 100 years, but 2 years before they're nobody in China. We work with them and step by step from zero now to be several million pounds in China each year. I think it's a long-term business cooperation. So it's money. It's very important for both of the suppliers and the distributors and importers like us, and also they have our several opinions work with us each year and some new products. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what I can tell from your insights.
And also there's another example is Swedish cocoa. It's I think it's very expensive and also famous in England or in London, but in China nobody know that years before. And in China before in the beginning only Olay can sell it a few. So we invite the owner come to China and do a lot of marketing place, and so now more and more they are more and more famous. I think we also need a long time and bring it how to say it's their value it's value studio time.
Mm-hmm.
Because that the two products is I think compared with the other normal European products is they are more expensive and more maybe higher quality or non-store.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so for this new brands, do you require that the brands invest with you?
Pardon?
Do you require that the brands invest in the China market with you to put an investment?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You're right. And yeah. About the brand, not invite money, but they support us and help us to different a lot of has marketing work. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anlei. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And similar question to you, Maggie. As you observe, the changes after COVID, has your distribution strategy changed? Do you, for example, shift more to e-commerce now? And then how do you decide which new brands you want to work with?
Firstly, after COVID, I think the market layout has been undergoing big changes. Previously, traditional sales and the new sales were parallel, but now the new sales channel have gradually replacing the traditional one. So you will be bumped by the now the e-commerce, B2C, and the C2C, and now is the for in China, and very famous maybe to the European country, also famous for TikTok, right? Sorry. And secondly, the consumption structure has changed, and the market is gradually maturing, and thinking toward more segmenting the marketing areas, allowing some brands has the changes into the Chinese market, and now so firstly I think for the suppliers want to enter into the Chinese market, first should be know what's their marketing position and what's their end customer is, in which end, high end or the popular thing you need to make is the very popular or you need and very fast consumer, or you want to make this very in the high end to make it a very how to say I'm sorry,
Premium.
Premium, yes, make it a premium. And on this problem, we don't adjust over the strategy of the front of the marketing, because now the after COVID, the marketing is divided into the more and more detail, and most of the consumers knows what they want now, and most of them know what they need now. So what I think is for the how to say, what I think is it's how to say is that we just focused on the customers after segmentation, and before we can
I can help you translate, Maggie, if you.
No, sorry， 我今天有点状态不太对，就是那个，如果说就是其实刚刚有说到那个什么，就是那个如果说有现在因为现在的所有的市场都在细分嘛，然后所以你进入市场之后，其实我觉得最重要的首先是要找准自己的市场定位。然后还有就是那个要知道你的产品的所处的一个地方，然后就是你所想找到的你的 partner 是什么样子的 partner， 你要跟 partner 非常的 match。然后至于以后你 match 完之后，那么就是说我们进口商对于这个就是厂家的对于这个厂家的要求就是要更多的就是介绍自己的品牌进入这个中国市场，然后就是这个介入不仅仅是说是你需要，是就是说是在就是费用上的一些就是介入，而指的是说更多的介绍，他们就是这个品牌的历史，就是还有就是这个品牌他们的就是主要的卖点，然后就是要会讲故事。最主要是要会讲故事，就是因为现在就是说，中国人现在就是变得越来越精明，然后越来越知道自己想要什么，然后现在的趋势也是，就是对于任何东西都是比较的健康化。那么就是要看，就是你就是国外的东西能不能适合中国的市场，最重要的就是说能不能够本土化，能不能落地。
Okay. Yeah, I think Maggie's suggestion is for brands to come prepared with a very clear brand positioning and idea about the consumer segmentation you want to target. So that's very important for the importer, and to have a good understanding of your partner as well, to see whether you think your partner is a good match to your brand, and then to work closely with your partner to prepare marketing collateral and a good story to tell the Chinese market. That's very important. Storytelling is a key. So yes, thank you, Maggie. I think we have about 15 minutes left. Mel, shall we go into questions?
Yeah, we've got a number of questions already in the chat box, so I'm just going to go through in order. So the first question is regarding marketing and digital marketing and social commerce budgets. So what budget is suggested for digital social commerce in year one if launching a brand in Tmall or Tmall Classic or Global?
Anlei, Chen Zong, Anlei, are you happy to answer the question about marketing budget? Do you think for launching on e-commerce, what budget should the brand prepare? You're on mute, 你静音了。
So normally, for the new products in the market and the first time, and we supplier and us, and will take at least from 5 to 10% to the market. And sometimes, the suppliers give us the base price. They told us they have the low any benefit, and then so we told them we don't need a benefit in the first year, and so we take all the benefit to the market. Suppliers just support us for example, like one container gave us 100 cartons gave us 10 or 20 cartons for free to support the market. Something also, this one side, and another is support us in this exhibition. For example, we have a big booth in the in Shanghai or Chengdu, and especially make several meters square only for this brand, and then the suppliers will support us. For example, they will came to China. They came to China and with us and together and introduce the products to our distributors, and also make some other online and offline and marketing actions together.
Can I just step in quickly, because I think the question was about launching on e-commerce rather than offline, right? So I think when you launch in Chinese e-commerce, which is arguably the most competitive online marketplace in the world, you've got to be visible. So a couple of years ago, when Tmall Global, Alibaba's team, were promoting their online marketplace, they were asking brands to prepare between 50 and 80,000 pounds marketing budget for the first year in order to break through. Since then, the price of customer acquisition has really increased in the Chinese market, because Tmall Global and JD's worldwide's market share within the online marketplace has decreased. There are many other social commerce marketplaces, which Ran introduced in her presentation, which are taking away their consumers. So you need to have a very clear marketing strategy on which platforms you want to be present in order to allocate the right amount of budget. So I think what we've heard from trade partners are partners which launch you specifically online, and they could be either just partners or online distributors, is that budget now is around 100K a year if you want to be succeeding in year one in sales. You could spend more on that, obviously, but I think for Tmall Global, they do have a quota of annual sales which you need to reach in order to remain listed on their online marketplace. Obviously, I think a lot of that will be covered on our consumer masterclass, because it's quite detailed, and also you would have the opportunity to hear from different TPs on how that price structure works. I'm just going to stop here, but just wanted to clarify that was the question was for e-commerce.
Thank you, Antonetta. Just moving on to the next question, and just keeping an eye on time. Outside of Walmart and Sam's Club, which other bricks and mortar retailers can UK companies sell directly to?
I think I'll just probably answer this one quickly. So Sam's Club and Walmart and Costco is a must-have. And then also the Chinese ones, including Fresh Hippo or Hema, Alibaba's offline retailer, and Olay, which is also quite high-end. Yeah, I think these are the most these are the channels most of the UK brands enter.
Thank you. Moving on to Peter from Marigold Health Foods. He's asked, like Europe, are there separate distribution channels for organic and non-organic products?
So I think my answer for this one would be not so much. I don't think there's a chain or channel for just organic products. We're not there yet. And then especially for imported food and drink products, organic is quite a difficult certification to have, as I mentioned in the presentation. So there's a different the system that and certification program, which is different from the UK's or Europe's or the rest of the world. So it's China's organic certification, which can take years to obtain the certificate, and it can be quite costly. So the common practice of imported food and drink brands is to cover the organic, any mentioning of organic on the packaging, or to develop a Chinese specific packaging for China market.
Yeah, thank you. From a question from Daniel, another question from Daniel from Nairns. What should we read into the closure of City Shop? Is there decreasing interest in imported foods as quality of and trust in of local brands increases?
I'll take that one round because we've been discussing it as well. Just about everyone probably who is a long-term exporter to China has been on store visits to the City Shop in Shanghai. Iconic. I think a number of the companies here who are current exporters probably also have products in City Shop, right? So the closure was big news for everyone. So it is not a sign of decreased interest in imported products, is a sign of how competitive the market has become. More and more retailers are introducing imported food products within their own range. And that is also a reflection of the Alibaba's offline stores competition, squeezing all these traditional retailers out. And also City Shop, when they really set up, they were targeting mainly the expat population, which has now dwindled. So your real consumers in China are really the local consumers. And yes, you need to compete against domestic brands, which are becoming much more better at communicating their compelling point of difference to the Chinese consumers.
Thank you. Moving on to AG Bar. Gavin has asked, can you provide more advice about appointing territories for distributors? Would it require 3 to 4 versus EU with 1 national distributor per market?
Mm-hmm. So I think there's no standard answer to this question. I mean, we have worked with clients who have 1 general importer for China, but of course, this importer like Switch Trip or GC will be working with distributors in different areas. So they're not the only one, exporting to every supermarket in China. That's they work with distributors as well. But we also work with clients who have no exclusive distributor for China, who are open to speak to everyone who come to them. I mean, there's pros and cons for each option. But then I think the thing to avoid, to pay attention to when you work with multiple distributors is to avoid entering price wars. Either for distributors working in different territories or different channels, very often there can be conflicts of which channel should I work with, which channel should I be exclusive, or pricing issues. So that's probably the thing that to watch out. But I think it's more common now for distributors to cover each 1 distribution channel than 1 territory. For example, you can have a distributor for online, you can have a distributor for offline retail, you can have another one for HoReCa if you HoReCa is an option as well. So that's probably more common now than having a distributor covering, for example, Beijing, and another one covering Shanghai, because we see more retail chains. For example, Sam's Club, you just need to speak to 1 national procurement manager for Sam's Club who covers different stores, right? So it's more common for distributors to specialize in 1 channel rather than a region, although some distributors might also be strong in some particular regions.
Thank you. A question from Mark at Amia Foods. This is more on the operations side. So from a labelling perspective, do you want UK products and stickers applied pre-shipping or when they arrive into China by the distributor? Or would it be better to have Chinese labelling on the package when it's produced?
So unlike Yeah, can I distribute this question to you as well? So on labeling, how do you work with your brands on labeling? Do you apply Chinese label to the products in China?
Depends.
Depends.
Yeah, depends. Normally for the new products for the silver containers and from the very beginning, we normally lead the products and how to say to be the market as soon as possible. So we just ask the suppliers as to how to say the deliver products, and we do the Chinese labeling in China. And after that, and if the volume is good and the marketing is okay, and we will ask to this, we will give this supplier the 1 year orders plan. So then they start to prepare everything Chinese government need, like labeling, like GSS number, something like that. From very beginning, everything as simple as possible and as quickly as possible, I think. Otherwise, it takes several months.
Yep. Thank you, Anlei.
Thank you. And then one final question, which I think will do us quite nicely for time in terms of wrapping up. This is from Jamie at Active Water, does Olay import products ex-works from the UK?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Anlei and Maggie, but I don't think Olay imports directly, or not in great volume anyway. I think the only retailers that import directly will be Sam's Club. That's the very active one, and maybe Costco, I'm not so sure, but Olay, all the rest, I think they work with the distributors who supply them.
That's right. Yeah.
Great, thank you very much. That takes us to the end of all the questions that we've received. So I'm sure lots of people have lots more questions, and I'll be sending round contact details for CBBC, also their presentation that Ran shared earlier, details of the Meet the Buyer, where you may have the opportunity to meet with JC Foods, and several of the other buyers which were discussed earlier in the presentation. And just to say, it's been great that there's been so many new faces on the call today. I hope it's given you some insight into sort of the FDEA, our network, and a flavour of some of the events that we organise. If you are interested in joining the FDEA, then please do drop me a line afterwards, and I can let you know about the different membership options that we have. Just to say, this webinar has also been recorded, so we will be sending out a link to the recording so you can listen again or pass to your colleagues. And yeah, finally, just to say thank you very much to Ram, to Antonetta, to Anlei, and for Maggie for their time today. It's been great to have you on the call and joining us from China. And that concludes the webinar. So thank you very much, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.